All right, happy Monday, and we're back. It's been a week, right? I was actually was out of town last week, and I'd kind of figured when I was out of town that I could do my show. I was gonna, I brought my mat and everything to do dice and stuff, but internet connection wasn't that great down there, and I was staying with my son actually, and where the room was that I was working in, it was right next to his, and there's no way I was going to do a show at 7 in the morning when they had to be at work. So I just decided to kind of keep it quiet and just get work done last week. So now I'm back. And a quick note, I'll be gone again next week. I'll be in Vegas. I'll be at David's house in Vegas. I should be able to do shows. Remember last time when I was down there, it was kind of some wonky internet and some weirdness. So I'll still do what I do. I'll try it from down there. Remember the whole black and white thing? So we may have to do some stuff to kind of make it work next week, but we'll do our best. Anyway, thanks, Dan, for welcoming me back. And good morning to Gary, my friend from Wyoming Dice as well. So let's get her on here. I want to talk about a couple things. And the first one is going to be this before we get into the actual meat of the show here today. As you know, John Patrick passed away about 10 days ago or so. Garrison Craps is his channel, is going to do a special tribute show for John on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday night. So bookmark your calendars, go to the Garrison channel and find the link to that video. I think he's going to put the link on Facebook too. It should be a good one. I think he's got John's daughter on there. He's going to interview some people who knew John and just talk about the impact that John Patrick had on the world of gambling, most gamblers, myself. I mean, I'll be there, of course. And I can eulogize Johnny all day long. Hey, Matt, I got something to show you today. Stick around for today's show. You're gonna love what I got here. Anyway, so make sure we're all in tune for that. It's gonna be a good show. I think we should support Garrison in kind of bringing John's story out again and letting us all sort of remember just how many lives he changed. I know there's some people who don't believe in John's methods or what John said. It doesn't change the impact that he had. And it kind of reminds me of what I got going on today. So, we've had this talk before, right? We've had this talk where we know a couple of people really didn't like John Patrick for whatever reason, but you don't have to like somebody to say, well, they said something good or they stood for something or they had a good impact. You may not agree with what they said, right? So today's one of those kind of days for me. And that's why I want to talk with you a lot about something that we ran into over the weekend with Jimmy on Jimmy's channel. So he and I, of course, don't technically like each other. I've said some shitty things about him. He said some shitty things about me, and it's fine. I actually jokingly said one day on one of the comments, I'm like, in real life, Jimmy and I might be actually really good friends, right? We might actually hang out and coach baseball together. Who knows? But it doesn't change how I feel about what his channel stands for. I can separate the fly shit from the pepper. And today we're going to talk about some of the pepper because he had a run this weekend that prompted me to do a show today, which is not necessarily in response to what he did in the run, but the run itself. Because again, sometimes content just kind of arises out of nowhere. And this is a good one to talk about today. So, but the lead into that, I've got to give my normal speech here, which is this. And I want to qualify something here, right? We know the casinos, right? They're here to ban us, right? They're here to not let you win. That's their goal, is to never let you win. They'll do all they can legally to not let you win. They won't let you card count, right? Guys could throw the dice at one point. Now they got the back, right? They do things to kind of mitigate your ability to take an advantage and force randomness on you. And because they have the math is based on pure randomness. That's why they win. If everything happens according to Hoyle, right, that's randomness. Their house edge will ensure them some percentage of play, and that's how they make. Anyway, don't get sucked into this though. Okay, when I say this, they will bankrupt you or ban you. Card counting got eliminated first by thuggery, right? Physically pull you off a table, right? Kick you out of the casino. The casinos that have the money can afford card counting or the card shuffle machines, right? They can eliminate card counting by having the automatic shufflers. That was an easy solve for them, right? With all shufflers and all 6 to 5, nobody's going to count cards. They eliminate it through rule, not through rule, but through implementation. That's not cheating, right? That's not rigging the games. That's just ensuring randomness, because advantage players take advantage of variance. Some advantage players cause variance, and that's how advantage play works. The casino, though, will never do things that are illegal to force outcomes. They're not allowed to. Maybe in the old days, right, when the mob ran things, they could do things to force outcomes. There's no way anymore. Everything is under such heavy regulation. There is no way on God's green earth that the casinos are forcing outcomes to rig games. They just don't do it. They don't have to do it. The math works for them. And Matt will tell you, Matt's run more bots and more simulations. Tell him Dice Data in the chat. You've run more things against randomness to prove. Casinos can just literally, the bean counters can just write it in, right? If marketing can get 100 million people in, we're going to make almost exactly X on gambling. They can to the penny predict what they're going to make, because it's that good. The math is that good. It just is. So don't get sucked into this idea that they're targeting anybody. Okay. And knowing all this, right? We say this a lot, right? Your bridge is your thing, right? Your goals define your bridge, right? Your bankroll grounds it, right? Your risk sizes what you do. Your destination points to where you play. Your intelligence and your discipline, right? That's how you execute things. And if you have emotional intelligence, it'll keep standing. Your bridge will stay up when the load starts bearing on it, right? These are the tools that you have. And again, to go over what I'm going to talk about today, Jimmy had a bad session. Jimmy's doing that 50-0 thing, right? He's trying to get 50-0 on bubble craps, which I have thoughts on how he's approaching that, but I'm not going to share them today. It's pointless. But he ran into a buzzsaw the other day, and it's like, how do you apply the bridge in that moment? When you think you can't lose, you've got the perfect system, you've got enough bankroll, you got everything going for you, and the machine goes, it just gives you the finger. The bubble craps gave him the finger. The casino gave him the finger. And in the moment, you can go, oh my God, what I'm seeing in front of me is impossible, and I'm going to go on tilt. My emotions get the best of me. You know, F this thing. I'm going, hundreds across, and we're going to just fuck it, right? You can do that. You're breaking your bridge. You're knocking your own bridge down when that kind of thing happens, right? Having the skills to kind of execute through it is what makes you a better gambler. Not the greatest system, not the greatest bet spread, not anything other than managing your bankroll, managing your bet sizing, having discipline, and keeping your emotions out of it. That's the way that you get through a tight session when something quote unquote impossible happens. And that's going to be really what I want to talk about today, is the impossible. I've been gambling for, 57 now. So 36, 37 years. I lose track, right? I started when I was 20. I was actually gambling a year before you could gamble in Atlantic City, but I've been around gambling since I was 15. My dad was a big gambler, and I would be in the casinos at 15 years old, but I actually been playing for 35 plus years. I've seen everything, right? And I still chalked it up in my mind to that'll never happen, or it's rigged, or whatever. I've seen some crazy, I'm going to show you some numbers today, and I can tell you things that I've seen that are worse than what I'm going to show you in person, right? The impossible is guaranteed to happen. A math guy, Myopia Movie, my good friend. I haven't talked to him in a while. He's a great friend of mine. He's one of these guys who looked at me, what was it, 5, 6, 7 years ago? And he's like, look, you're saying everything right. Like I'm trying to talk around the craziness that I'm seeing. I'm trying to talk around how do you build a strategy around the crazy. And he's like, look, you have your finger on the pulse because you've been playing so long, like you get it, but you don't know the math yet. So he kind of taught me some math. And two things resonated with me. One is this, and he used the word never for one of these things, which I'm going to prove today is wrong. But he said, you're never going to see really a perfect 36. You're never going to see in craps 36 perfect rolls. It literally almost never happens. Almost never. I'm going to show you today that it can happen. And he said, also, the thing you think can never happen, 100% will happen. You cannot get to distribution. You cannot get 10 million, 100 million rolls, which casinos see on the regular. You can't get that amount of volume and not see 10 sevens in a row. It's impossible not to have a session where the impossible thing that you think can never happen to you happens. And it happens all the time. You're just not always there when it does. If you're there when it happens, you're in this weird variant, right? But it's guaranteed, right? You think about, and the example he used to always give me was, look, you give everybody in a stadium of 100,000 people, go to the Rose Bowl, right? Give everybody a quarter and flip the quarter. And say if you have a head, you get to stay. And you keep flipping quarters, right? And only the heads remain. All the tails have to leave the stadium. Somebody's going to win that. Somebody's going to be the last man standing and will have rolled 31 heads in a row. It's impossible. I could give you a quarter and you could sit in your living room and flip quarters and you'll die before you roll 31 in a row. But somebody that day is going to do it. It's a guarantee that somebody gets through that day and wins the whole thing, right? It's not rigged. It's the reality of the situation. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because in Jimmy's run, he talked about in his video, the bubble crash machine he was on, he made a statement that was actually kind of funny. He's like, the casino had to do that to beat me, right? Well, whatever. It rolled 27 sevens out of 50 rolls, roughly speaking. Don't know if it was exactly 50 rolls or exactly 27, but it rolled more than 50% sevens, this bubble crash machine, right? Which is crazy town. Literal crazy town. I don't think I've ever seen in my life a run like that. And the odds of that happening are like 1 in 300,000 or some crazy shit. But he got to see it in person, right? Jimmy's got a great story to tell. He can tell you about the time he saw 27 sevens and 50 rolls. As a matter of fact, anybody who watches the video where he did it saw it too. It actually happened, right? So here's the props to Jimmy from me on 2 levels. One, pretty much stuck to his guns, right? I haven't seen the whole video, but one guy said he went on tilt. One guy said he didn't. I want to watch what he did, but he got lucky. He had blacks across. He had a big hard way 10 and the machine landed on a hard way and it got him back in the game. That was probably his last roll. A 7 comes there. He's probably out. And the whole 50-0 thing is over with. $3,000 loss, right? As it turns out, he hits a hard 10, gets the money back, and then you're able to crawl back. The cool thing is this about that. Crawled back, number one, so kudos on crawling back and sticking to your thing and crawling back. I appreciate seeing that. That's good discipline. He also got from being down to $400 out of almost 3,000, back to where he was ahead $2, right? I'm actually really impressed they didn't call it a win. And again, discipline gets you back. Bankroll lets you stay in the game. And in the end of it, he didn't call it a win. If he would have called that $2 a win, I'd have been pissed, right? Because you can't. He called it a tie. He's not going 19-0. He considers himself 18-0. That's actually pretty good. I'm glad he did that. That's the right thing to do was not call a $2 win a win. Even though what I've said to you before, if you lose 1,500 and you battle back and tie, you had to win $1,500 to be tied. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about today was not so much that. There was a statement that he made in the end in one of his reaction videos to it was, how do you say it? I don't want to paraphrase and get it wrong. He said the thing where, the casino had to do that to get to me, which is kind of a cocky thing to say. But he made the statement that he said, I think the casino knows. I put my card in and they recognize that it's me. And therefore the machine did that. Like he beat the machine 18 times for $100, $200, right? And he thinks the casino saw his card go in and recognized it was him and then decided to go with the crazy 7 run. It's not right. Trust me. No, they don't give 2 shits about you, me, or anybody. They don't care about bluff betting 10 grand a hand. They don't care. They have the math. They don't care. They don't need to target anybody. That right there is complete horseshit. The second thing is this. He's talking about the dice, and there is some truth in this, right? The bubble craps dice do get rubbed out. They do get chipped. The piston gets worn out. There are things that happen in those machines. And this is why I think bubble craps is not rigged, but it's beatable on a different level, right? When the dice are shitty, when the machine is jacked up, when it is, right, it'll find pockets. Bubble craps finds weird pockets. it found the pocket of sevens that day. When bubble craps finds itself in a pocket, and it often does, the gambler should recognize the pocket and bet the pocket that it's in, because sometimes they just get there. Those machines, I've seen them just live in a world where there's nothing low coming. It's weird. And it is because the dice get chipped and all the weird things happen, and the machines do have to go into service. But when you see that, you got to get on it, right? Sometimes you don't fight City Hall, right? When City Hall's got the guns pointed at you. That's just kind of the way that works. You know what I'm saying? So that machine, it's not rigged. It's not targeting him. It's nothing other than it's got a problem. I don't think you can raise your hand like he thinks and call the casino and say, I demand that you take that machine out of service. That's horseshit too. They'll do what they want to do. But here's the thing. When he said that what he saw was impossible and he felt targeted, I understand why he felt targeted, but I want to show you something. Let's go to my command line here. And it got me to thinking, like, how often do we actually see those weird, impossible things happen? So I've got this. I got to move some windows around so I can see myself what I'm doing here. Quick little command line app that I wrote that will just kind of show us. I'm just going to run it really quick. We're going to do this Craps Math thing. I'm going to do it in windows of 36 rolls. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to roll. I did the thing. We did 1 million rolls here, and I'll do it again and again and again. Okay. And I asked a bunch of questions of the data, which I think were interesting questions for me. Hopefully they are for you. And I want you to see, how often does the impossible really happen? So here we go. First of all, the overall distribution of a million rolls. Okay. We expected 27,000, blah, blah, blah. Twos, we got 28,000, right? We're within, a half a percentage point, not even that, of what expected. This kind of shows you how close you are. Look at the 16.665 versus 16.666 of the sevens. Like, that's how close it was, right? The closer you get to 1 million, 10 million rolls, you'll see that everything is perfect. Anyway, just to prove it, on a window size of 36 rolls. Now, what this window size means is this. I looked at rolls 1 through 36, 2 through 37, 3 through 38. This is kind of a sliding window of results. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry. I'm scrolling fast. We had one perfect window, actually, which is I didn't expect that, right? The theoretical is 1 in 706,000. We got 1 out of 1 million was a perfect 36, which I've been saying right along. You'll never see a perfect 36. Well, apparently you can. Once out of 1 million times, you'll see a perfect 36, which is kind of interesting to see. Every other time, you're in some kind of variant. So I will amend my statements when I say you'll never see it. You'll see it, but like, you'll probably never see it. Like, it's so close. But that was interesting to me to see that. All right, here we go. First one was this. How many times did numbers appear over the expected rate? So in other words, in what percentage of the 36 rolls did we have more twos than we should have? More threes than we should have, more whatevers, right? And we'll look at the 7 for the most part, right? We had 40% of the rolls where we saw more than 6 sevens. Look at that. Almost, not almost half, but leaning into half the time, you see more 7s than you should. Now, this is actually a pretty perfect distribution. The 2s and the 12s are 26 times. 3s and 11s are 32%. Everything is freaking perfect, right? Math is so cool sometimes, right? But the 6, 7, and 8 are pretty much the same, right? Nearing 40% of the time, right? You'll see them a little bit over the expected rate. It all works out. But the 7s are, of course, the king. The next one I asked for, how many times do we see the number come double the expected rate? I got 4 or more than 2 2s, more than 4 3s, more than 10 6s, more than 12 7s. Well, now you're getting into like, down to 1 or whatever percent. So the 6, 7, and 8, well, look at the ones because they're the popular guys, right? About 0.75% of the time, do you see 10 6s? So you talk about like how many times are you going to get that? And I've seen, again, I've been playing craps for 30 something years. I have seen 15 6s by people, right? I saw a guy one time throw 10 9s, right? That's pretty low percentage. I was on a table not long, a few years ago. A guy threw 10 9s. It's crazy town, but this is the real reality, right? Double the amount you're supposed to see in a roll of 36. You'll see that. It is possible, and it will happen. Look at that, 40%. Double the expected rate. Isn't that crazy? It's a lot. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of times that you'll see 12 sevens in 36 rolls. That's kind of a shocking number. I'm sorry, 0.39. That's sorry, 0.5%. That's a lot. It's a lot. All right, here we go. The next one is, how many times do you see over 50% of the expected rate? In other words, how many times would you see 18 or 19 sevens? 0 times. Right? So Jimmy's case, where he saw 27 sevens in 50 rolls, would be this window. How many times did you see more than half? In 1,000,000 rolls, it never happened. Isn't that insane? If I bump the number up to 10 million rolls, you'll start seeing this happen the more times you give it a shot. That, to me, and again, I'm only looking at 36 rolls, not 50 rolls, but isn't this insane? That what he saw, and again, we have it on video, in 1,000,000 rolls with all those windows of 36, didn't happen one time. And how many rolls windows? There are 7,000. No, how many windows did we have? I should have it. 999,000 overlapping windows. Almost 1,000,000 windows of 36 rolls. Never saw more than double what it would be, which is interesting. Okay. The next question I asked of the data was the most times each number appeared in any 36 rolls. This will shock you. Okay. There were times where there were 8 twos in 36 rolls, 10 threes, 13 fours, 18 sevens happened a number of times, exactly 50% of the time, right? Look at that. It took 290,000 windows of 36 to get there, but we got there with 18 sevens. Look at 16 sixes, 17 eights. These are real numbers in 1,000,000 rolls. 16 sixes in a period of 36 rolls happened a number of times, right? That's crazy town. Happened 3 point whatever times. That, I think, is interesting to see this. The impossible will happen. You will see a perfect 36. You will see 18 sevens out of 36 rolls sometimes. It literally happened number of times during the run. I think that's fantastic. The 2 is crazy. Seeing 8 twos or 8 12s is insanity. That's like nuts. Look at this. 11. You saw the biggest run was 10 11s. I'm going to talk about the 11 here in a minute. The longest consecutive run. How many times do we see the same back-to-back number during 36 rolls? Okay, look at this. The 7 actually beat the 8, or the 8 beat the 7. But we saw 7 sevens in a row. That's a 1 in 279,000 chance. We saw 8 8s in a row one time, right? 5 11s in a row, 3 12, right? This is the number of 8 8 8 8 8. Imagine seeing 8 8s in a row from a shooter, right? But it happened, right? In this run, this 1 in 18 chance of seeing, look at this, the 5 11s in a row. Ian Olsen and I, who's been in our chat, he's a good friend of mine. We're at a casino. We're at Toledo Casino here in Seattle. We saw a guy throw 6 11s in a row, just like a year ago. It happened. It beat this. It beat this number here. We saw a guy throw 6 11s in a row. Like I said, I've seen everything. I've seen everything. This proves it. And if I do this at, if I go to 10 million rolls, it changes everything. Like you'll get to close. It takes a little longer to run. You'll get to closer stuff. You'll start seeing, now we have 14 in 10 million rolls, 14 perfect 36s. You'll start seeing this number here almost be like literally exact what they should be for the overage. Double rates. Again, we're at the same level, 40%, right? Okay, is that, almost 0.4%, almost 0.8%. The over 50%, we're still not seeing over 50, even with 10 million rolls. With 10 million rolls, I'm still not seeing this a couple of times. Over 50%, the 7. We had 8 times where it happened. Out of 10 million rolls, 8 times we had more than 50%. It takes that many for it to happen, which is crazy town. Yeah, and of course the peaks and all that kind of. And again, here the 11 showing it 12 times. Even in here, in 10 million rolls, we only had one time where we saw 6 11s. We saw a 1 in 10 million chance. Remember Ian? I mean, my God, So the nutty things will happen, and that's what I wanted to get to today. And we'll go back to the other screen here in a second. Let me go back over to here. How do I do this? If I go to that, can you see me again? All right. Yeah. My point is this. The crazy thing will happen. Nothing is rigged. It'll show up somewhere. It's a matter if you happen to walk up to a table or a machine in the window when it's happening. And here's the thing. We talk about like laddering systems. Anytime you do a negative ladder, you're going to run into those runs where you get 8, 9, 10 sevens in a 36 roll window. And the ladders if you're doing a ladder on craps on something on the right side, you'll get destroyed. It'll happen. You'll see 6, 7, 8, 9 sevens in a row. It happens all the time. It happens quite a bit, as you saw here. So strategies will get picked off by Matt. That's why when Matt from Dice Data runs his stuff, every strategy loses at some rate. There'll be 80% winners, 82% winners, but the losing 18%, when you win 82% of the time and you're feeling like you're the best craps player on the planet, the ones that you lose, if you're laddering, are catastrophic losses. It's losing $3,000 when you're winning 100 at a time. That's a catastrophic loss because it takes 30 wins to catch it back up again, right? So that's the thing I want to call out today. It's not so much that some people are great gamblers. They have the right bankroll and they've survived even some craziness with the right bankroll. The right bankroll can survive a lot. These laddering systems, they work. They do work most of the time because with enough bankroll, you can survive the crazy. What Matt runs into, Dice Data, what he runs into when he runs 100,000 bots is probably about 1 million rolls, right? 100,000 guys running 8.5. It's probably 850. Is about. Am I right, Matt, about the number? Right? 100,000 bots that run 100,000 shooters, 8.5 per shooter. You're about 1 million rolls. What I just showed you is probably about what his bots are seeing every single day. That kind of crazy, which is the reason why the retirement plan went down when Matt ran it. It's the reason why ladders go down when Matt runs them, because you will, in 1 million rolls, run into something crazy. There's buzzsaws in the runs that you will hit. It's a matter of when you hit them and how much bankroll you have when you're hitting it. That's the question. You might be at the first 3 sevens of a 15-7 in a row run, but that was your last one that you had to see. You blah, 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 you had sevens and you're out, and then 19 more sevens happen after you leave. You might still be in that same run. You just didn't stay long enough to see the whole thing. That weird shit happens all the time. And yeah, 8.5 million rolls, right? There you go. Right? He's 8.5 million rolls. And you're right. They always see the crazy. Why is my, is it not coming up? Oh, there it goes. Yeah. The bots always see the crazy. What highlights a new gambler to me versus a seasoned gambler, and not to say that one's better than the other, the new gambler is surprised by this. And I can say this, as gambling for 35 years, for 30 years of it, I was always surprised by the impossible. Like, my God, that's never going to, right? I didn't really understand what it was. The wisdom I've gained by leaning into what the math really is and how things really work and how the bubble machines really work and how RNGs, because I've written one, I understand how they work, really work, right? That wisdom gained means that this doesn't surprise me anymore. But when a new player who's been playing for 2-3 years goes, oh my God, it's rigged. It's got to be rigged. No, math. Shit happens, man. It's just what it is. But I will say this, the bubble craps, shit happens more often on bubble craps than regular craps. Why? Because there's definitely a mechanical thing with those dice. I'm telling you, if you get into a groove like that, I would never highlight the groove to the people. If I found a machine that was in a groove like that, which those machines get into mechanical grooves, fucking bet that thing. Like, lean into it. Don't run away from it. Don't highlight it. Lean into it. That's a potential advantage play if you find a quote unquote broken or busted or effed up machine. I would not highlight it. I would be like, that's my machine, man. I'd be fighting for that damn thing. Other people, you see a 7-happy machine like that because the dice are fucked up. Everybody else is getting their ass handed to them. You sit down and run some dark side stuff for a minute and be okay. That's an interesting way to look at it, right? I would rather have that conversation than the machine is targeting me because my card's in it, which to me is fallacy, foolishness, and everything else. All right, let's go through some questions here to see what y'all say. Tomorrow I'll come back and I'll do some regular throwing tomorrow. We'll go, and I'm going to revisit the strategy that I put out last week, and I'll do some more runs of that this week. We'll try and tweak it a little bit. I'll get Ken on here. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about it. And then next week I'm going to run 4D Krebs. I'm going to run his stuff next week. I'm going to study it over the weekend. I did read the book, by the way, that you wrote. I did read the strategy once through as kind of let me just read it. Now I'm going to look at it and really kind of get into it and practice a little bit. I don't want to come out here and do your strategy and mess it up. It would be unfair. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I talk about it intelligently. I'll do mine first, then I'll do yours, and then I'll do that from Vegas next week. So, all right, let's see what we have here in the chat. I'm going to run through top to bottom and find interesting things. Hopefully there are some. Casino or Dice Day says they don't have to cheat, but I wonder about illegal online. Now that's different. That's different because they are not regulated, right? In Vegas, you've got Nevada Gaming controls everything, right? Every machine, by the way, you may or may not know this, and I'm learning more as I work for the Casino Quest team, right? Every machine goes through testing. And here's something you also don't know. The little card that's in the machine, a little RNG generator card, right? Gambling runs those cards, not the casinos. Nevada Gaming is the arbiter of the RNG cards, not the casino, not the manufacturer. It goes through gaming. Gaming inspects, validates the RNG card, and then puts them in the machines before they hit the floors. You probably didn't know that. And the casinos have no way, no backdoor in there. The casinos, when they open the machines, they can touch all the stuff. They cannot touch the RNG. It's impossible to get to. Nevada Gaming controls that. So does New Jersey Gaming. So does, whatever state you're in. The governance of the state manages all that. Even the tribal casinos are managed by a governing body that ensures everything is perfect, right? Also, you should know this, right? And again, I'll speak to Nevada, but they all do the same thing. The casinos got cameras, right? The eye in the sky that's always watching you. Did you know that Nevada Gaming also has eyes in the sky? They have their own, and they can attack. They can attach into the casino's camera system too. Nevada Gaming also has security watching every single table game. Did you know that? And the whole casino. I didn't know that. I thought the casinos had that, and then they would tell Nevada Gaming that here we found the guy cheating. No. And what happens is this: the casino is watching through the camera for cheating dealers, for cheating players, and all the things, right? Because they're cared about their money. Nevada Gaming is using the same camera system and the same PTZs, all the same stuff. They're watching the casino. So there's an eye in the sky watching you not cheat and the dealers not cheat, right? Nevada Gaming is watching the casino process. They're protecting the people with the same camera system. So you should know that. You should feel a little bit better about hearing that. It's much more regulated now. There is no way on God's green earth that the casino is cheating anybody. They're not capable of it. Number one, any machine you see is incapable of cheating. Even the bubble craft machines. The RNG in the bubble craft machine governs the piston, how hard the dice are thrown, and at what point they're thrown. Bounce, 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 go. Right? Then the length of time that they bounce and the hardness of the hit, that's the RNG. And if machinery's messed up, if it says bounce them 10 times and it bounces them 8, and it's supposed to hit them with a force of 4 and it goes with a force of 2 instead, that's where the pockets happen. Not cheating. Okay. Next one here. They really do care about the back wall. And I will tell you this. Hand to God. If you don't hit the back wall, if it didn't have to hit the back wall, I could make $1 million. I could sit at my table all day with my chopper toss, and I could flick dice and never touch the back wall and almost pick my window of numbers. If I didn't have to strike the back wall, if I could let them trickle into the thing, I could almost do it. But the back wall, you have to contend with it. If you don't hit the back wall, that is what ensures the random game. That little bit of diamond ensures randomness. on the casino's end. That's why it's there. Again, they don't have to cheat. They just have to make sure things stay random. That's all they have to do. If they can ensure it stays random, they can block in that bottom line. That's all you got to worry about. All right. Yeah, you're going to win. You're going to lose. That is the truth. Let's see. 40 craps. I think Jimmy's looking for a reason to stop. Here's the thing. You can win every session. And I think he's going to probably do it. He's going to prove it out, right? Here's the thing. If you bring $2,500 and your goal is to win, or your walk away number is 75 or $100, you can go 50-0. Not hard to do. Not hard to take $250 to a bubble craps and win $10 and leave. Ladder up a dollar bet until you win $10 and you can walk away. You'll probably win 90% of the time doing that. That's a bankroll. It's a bankroll play. It's bankroll outlasting variance. That's what that is, right? It's not genius. It's having bankroll. It's having bankroll and having discipline to sit there and make sure that it happens. That's all that is. So I wouldn't call it arrogant. I would just call it it's the math of the thing. If I got all this money and I have a little tiny win goal, and I'm playing in a laddered system that is designed to stop at a certain point, unless you get whacked by something crazy, which he saw the craziest thing you could probably see, you're going to win. It's staying too long that people get wrong. It's chasing loss without a plan that people get wrong. So if he does do this, and that's the way that it happens, it's a good lesson to see. It's a good lesson to see that bankroll can win given the small goal and some discipline and not getting ripped up by a buzzsaw. That's an interesting, it's to me, it's an interesting theory. And most people don't do it. So, or don't do it live anyway. So anyway, not that he's doing it live. He's recording it and then re-uploading it. So who knows, right? But that's theory can hold true. That's why Waylon does what he does, right? His theory holds true. Most of the time, if you have the bankroll to survive the crazy, you'll get to your goal. And if your goal is small enough and you walk, you're going to be a winner more often than you're a loser. And that's what it comes down to. All right. Yeah. And skill just backs up my point. If the insane happens and it doesn't go your way, your bankroll is the arbiter. That's the thing. If your bankroll will let you stand. Okay. And again, I think Jimmy might have been 1 or 2 rolls away from having the whole bankroll wiped by another one of those 7s in that weird sequence that he was in. Right. If it's not a hard 10 that rolls in that one moment, it's a whole different conversation. So I think to me, again, interesting conversations. When I see something interesting, I think we should talk about it. And that's why I wanted to bring this out today. All right. So let's see. I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's a faster pace of rolls and you're exposed to more random crap instead of looking at the outcome and risk reward. You talking about bubble craps? Is that what you're talking about? Bubble craps? If you are, I do want to address, if you are, I think you are, I'll put the comment. I can't pin the comment. It just goes away in a few seconds, but bubble craps, those machines, I'm telling you, they are mechanical, right? And mechanical things do break. I've seen the dice not roll. I've seen the thing pop before, and a couple of times in a row, one of the die doesn't even roll. It goes doink and it kind of lands there because the piston is so like whatever. If it's old or if the gears are stripped or whatever, I've seen the die go pop up and just stay and pop up and just stay. And one die is a 4, like 5 rolls in a row. The other one bounces around a little bit, but it's interesting. Those machines are mechanical. And mechanical things they can break. So I think that's, to me, is I think an interesting observation. Let's see. How many dice throws occur? Let's find out together, shall we? I'll do some quick math for you. Let's do it. Let's do, let me see. Let me go. You want to see it? I'll just share my screen because I don't want to bullshit you. There we go. Let's do, if I do this, can you see it? No. Shoot. Crap. Maybe I can do it down here. Can I do it down here? It's been a while since I've used BC. So if we do 40, let's make it 45 rolls an hour. Okay, times 24 hours times 365. That would be the number of rolls. 245,000 rolls a year per table. Okay. So we can take that number that I just showed you, that number right there, let's say that a casino has 4 tables, right? So now you're at 1 million, right? So a casino with 4 live craps tables will see about 1 million rolls a year. Okay. Now, bubble craps, most casinos have got that bank of 8 machines. They're not getting 45 rolls. They're probably getting more like 100 rolls an hour because a bubble craps machine is faster. So a typical bubble craps array is going to get 4.5 million rolls a day or 4.5 million rolls a year. That's one casino. So one casino is probably seeing between live table play and bubble craps 5.5 million rolls a year. That's about right. So Dice Data, when you do your thing, it's 8.5 million rolls. You're probably getting about one casino's worth, roughly. Again, these numbers could be different, the 45 and the 100. They could be different. Oh, did I do that wrong? I'm sorry. My bad. That was bad math. 365. I don't know what my fat finger. So bubble craps is 6.8 million. And regular craps would be, 45, 3 million. So you're about 10 million rolls a year. Right? 3 million and 6.8 million. So yeah, about, let's just call it 10 million rolls per year on one casino. So 4 tables at, that's wrong again. There we go. Bubble craps, 6.8 million. Regular craps, 1.5 million. So you're about 8.5 million rolls. Actually, look how close that is. What is that? What is this number? This is gonna be freaking perfect. That number plus that number is 8.37. So basically one casino with 8 bubble craps machines and 4 craps tables over the course of a year will average the same 8.5 million rolls that Dice Data's bots see. Oh my God. Did you know that? Did you set me up for that answer, Matt? That's hysterical. If you set me up for that window, that's hysterical. So yeah, 1 year, one casino, 8.5 million rolls. That's actually awesome, right? So you can take that number, right? So Station has what, 6 casinos, right? Now they're at 50 million dice rolls a year. Vegas has got whatever 40 casinos in it or whatever they've got. Now you're at 330 million, right? This is how many dice rolls happen a year. People think it's impossible. That's what he shows you is interesting, Matt. So anyway, there's your crazy freaking math lesson for today. All right, let's go back to my shining and happy face. Let's go here again. Bang. All right. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. Let's see. Rerun the window. Select for any kind of crazy sequence and a probability of 100%. I can ask questions of that data all day long. I can just keep going back and say, well, how many times did we see, a 7-11 sequence? Or I can do it with Baccarat. Doesn't matter, right? Yeah. All right. What else do we have here? It's close, Dan. My stuff is in shipping, so I'll have it. I should have it this week actually, and I'll probably get my table stuff this week, get it set up, and then leave. That's probably what's going to end up happening, but it'll be within a week or so. Let's see. Tom Marco says Bubble Dice lends itself to more scrutiny than People Dice because it's a machine. Yeah, you'll see. I feel like those machines just have a weird. Again, it's mechanical, so they find. Yeah, they find a groove, bang the groove, man. Let's see. You can win $50 all the time. How much you risk? You're risking $2,000 to win 50. It's you're again, if you hit the bad run. Yeah, I didn't watch the videos. I don't know what his catch up was, but yeah, you catch a 7 in that roll. But I think if he was risking $700 to catch up and was on a ladder, that makes sense. And again, I have to watch the video. I just watched the follow up part of it. But if you're risking $700 to catch up in that crazy sequence, if that was your ladder design, lose, ladder up, lose, ladder up. If he's following the pattern and the pattern led him to that amount of betting, then that's following the pattern. If he's saying to himself, fuck it, I'm getting screwed here, let me just rail dump, that's a whole different conversation. That's not sticking to your system. That's just getting pissed off, right? Was there an emotional or disciplined decision in there? I don't know. I can't say. I'll reserve judgment for that. All right. RNGs they have the numbers predetermined, but again, on bubble craps, it's not the outcome. The predetermined number, again, is the combination of the piston hit and the time. That's the RNG determines those two vectors to make the dice roll. If one of the mechanics is broken, that happens. So that it's not that they're predetermined the number of the dice. It's predetermining the randomness by which the dice get scrambled. That's how those machines work. I've had an ear on the conversation with the guys that make the machines explaining how it works. So I know how those machines work. Now, I used to think that there was an RNG and the dice presented the result. That's not how they work. Right? To ensure randomness, the piston and the time act like the diamonds on the table. They're designed to randomize the dice like the diamonds do on a real table by injecting different speed and different hit strength as a person would. That's the whole idea. So anyway, yeah, I saw that. You know what the problem is, Jen? If I could take a picture of my screen, I've got this really cool new camera sitting here, which I'm pointing right to my camera. It actually hangs down in front of my screen, right? So I'm looking like at the camera, but it's actually in the middle of my monitor. Where the camera is where the numbers were. As I was typing it, I couldn't even see them. So anyway, yeah, I fixed it. I caught that late and I fixed it. Let's see. He films them live, but he doesn't broadcast live. So he films it on his camera and then he goes home and uploads it. So, yeah. Let's see. What else is here? Again, my personal beef with him is one thing. When interesting things happen, I think we should talk about it. That's why I brought it up today. Because I think when you see a crazy sequence like that, you got to talk about it. And you got to run some numbers and see what the hell is going on. Like, is that, how out of realm is that? The fact that I never could make, with 10 million rolls, it only happens 8 times out of 10 million. That's crazy town. That's so little. I mean, what he saw there was actually crazy. Dan the Dice Man, I am going to the app release party. Who else is going? It is August 22nd, by the way. And I really can't talk much about the app. And the reason for that is Google has not yet approved the app or the games yet for advertising. So if I talk about it too much, they consider it an ad. And as it's an ad and it's not been approved by Google, they could penalize the channels that talk about it. So I can't really talk about it. But the release party for the app is August 22nd. So in a couple of weekends, I'll be in Vegas for that. It's going to be out at Boulder Station. We got reserved room. We got food. We got all kind of cool stuff. Get to see the first ever, by the way, multiplayer roulette. So think about what Crapsy does for craps. Our game does that, of course, as well. But we did that also for roulette. So you'll be able to play just like craps. You can play roulette with friends, with a host and everything else. So it's going to be, it'll be pretty awesome when it's all said and done. It's the thing of, well, I don't want to say it's my most proud work. I've done some really cool things in coding, and we can talk about that someday, but it's right up there. These apps are right up there with what I did for the car industry, which I've got a patent on my wall from that work. And for kind of inventing the pay-per-click search engine industry back in the 90s. There's a couple of things in my life that I can hang my hat on, that I can say, yep, I literally changed the way that things work in the world. I've done it twice. This might be the third time, because the app really leans into what we teach. The app leans into the bridge. It gives you lots of tools to manage bankroll, learn the games, and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, get yourselves in Vegas. Skill, I did not see your other question. What is your other question? Last one I've got. This one here. Can this conversation translate to on-axis throwing? Kinda, right? Like you're talking about the bubble craps thing, right? So if the bubble craps machine, why am I not getting questions screen? There we go. If the bubble craps avoids randomness, and I don't want to use the word avoid, but evades randomness because the pistons are not the same strength, or the dice are cracked, or whatever the reason is in that machine, the bottom, the little pad thing sometimes gets a little spongy and they bounce different, or less spongy and they bounce different. If that's true, right? If a mistake in the machine, like a physical piston pad, whatever, can take you into variance and keep you in variance, could somebody who's throwing the dice perfectly on axis and blah, 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 we can have that conversation, could that person also do the same thing? That's what they're trying to do. I don't believe that people who are setting the dice and doing some kind of a controlled toss are really trying to beat the 7. I mean, it'd be nice if they beat the 7, but what they're trying to do is create these pockets of numbers, right? That's why your dice sets are set up to find more 6s and 8s or more 4s and 10s. They're designed to hit more of those numbers than other numbers. 7s are going to come. You can't stop the 7, but if the 8.5 rolls that you rolled, if 4 of them were 5s or 4 of them were 4s, or if you rolled 11 rolls and they were all box numbers except for the 7, you can make a little bit extra money. That's the point of it. That's what dice throwers are trying to do. Really what they're trying to do, I think. The machine is not trying to, the machine's trying to make sure that we're always random. And when it fails at that, it ends up in a place like a DI would end up with a pocket of numbers. Sometimes that pocket of numbers is nothing but horn numbers. It's not trying to throw horn numbers, but it gets stuck in a place where one die is always a 1. And it ends up with 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? A third of the time, it's going to be a 1, aces or ace deuce when that kind of weirdness happens. So it creates pockets of variance, like a DI is trying to create pockets of variance. That's all that they're trying to do. Hope that answers your question. I think that it does translate in. The machines can be swapped out just like a shooter can, I guess, right? All right, guys, I'm out of here. I got to run to work. Reminder from our friend Sweet Lou, stay in focus. Please follow your plan. Observe the conditions. Maybe that machine is broken, right? Stay in emotional control. Understand your game, your odds, and of course, stay disciplined. All right, keep in focus. And like I would say at the end, keep it simple. Idiots admire complex things. Geniuses admire simple things. Be a simpleton. Be a genius. Good luck. God bless all you. I'll see you tomorrow. And we'll roll some dice out here and have some fun. Have a great one. Bye.